Today, when I was sitting in a group meditation, I could feel the warmth of all of those who were sitting around me in the circle. I was so very, very pleased with myself for seeking that kind of support, for knowing that I needed that kind of support. And I am finding a lot of lessons dropping down right now. It's a time of growth. It's a time where we're being called on to leave old handicaps and traumas and stories and victimhood behind us. Throw it over the hill. Put it down next to the trail. Get it off your back. Do a self-surgery and remove it from your mind. And the first step in all of this is something that comes up in movies. When you watch the early adventurers in planes and where they tap the instruments, like if you have a barometer in your house and you go over and you tap it, I think the first thing that I do, which has really helped me a lot, is I tap my instrument panel. I tap to see, what am I thinking right now? What am I feeling right now? Am I feeling defensive? Am I feeling attacked? Am I feeling overwhelmed? Am I feeling anxious? Am I feeling expansive? Am I feeling joyful? The first thing I have to start with before I do anything else is not look outside of me at the world. All I'll see outside of me in the world is everybody who is in their own tank or, in their own submarine or in their own spaceship, their own construct of defensiveness. They're shooting out weapons, sending out drones, reacting from their own place of woundedness. Very few people on the face of the earth were treated with respect and cared for and loved and encouraged under the age of 7. So it's almost like a Monty Python movie. The blinded, the lame, the wounded, the lurching, out in the world, just clawing over the top of one another. How do we deal with that? Well, we don't deal with that. There's nothing we can do about that. I cannot change another person's worldview. I cannot reach into their head and remove a giant lobster-like parasite of fear that is in their amygdala that's left over from their childhood. That is beyond my power. What is in my power is this vehicle. So one of my practices, the first thing when I wake up in the morning is I tap all of the gauges on my dashboard. Are my tires filled all the way? Do I have a flat? Is my radiator working? Is my fan belt fine? Just checking the system. And one of the things that I will notice right away if I have something that is this is a scientific term I use, niggling. If there's a niggling in my system, in my energy field, of anxiety, of fear, if something is being triggered that is left over from my childhood, oh my God, they don't like me. The next thing that's going to happen is they're going to turn around and smack me in the face. For anyone outside of me to understand that that's the way I'm going to react is absolutely impossible to ask of them. Do you know what that does to me when you do this? No, they don't, because they're totally focused on their own, trying to swim up the Amazon with various reptiles all around them. You cannot ask other people to not trigger you. That's impossible. And I noticed something really interesting as I am on this path of understanding the trauma inheritance and the response and the locked-in damaged child. Everybody always reacts out of their own story. If somebody was taught that they were guilty, you're a 3-year-old and you're guilty, you're a monster. What will happen is when you're talking to the 50-year-old, it doesn't matter what you say or what you type or what you put into your Facebook post. They will see it as an attack. They will see it as if you are asking them to do something that is against their nature. And that's where we have our biggest rifts with other people. I will respond to you based on the story I'm projecting in my own head. So let me put it this way. If I'm walking down a sidewalk and somebody accidentally bumps into me, I am going to respond differently than another person who hasn't been beaten as a child. I will, for a moment, be thrown back into the story of a powerless child who is being physically attacked by someone stronger. I have to catch it. I have to tap my gauge. I have to say, what's happening right now? Oh my God. The paranoia screen has gone way up high. Look at that. It's really up there. So when we look at other people, it's so much easier to deal with them in a kind and compassionate way if we first check ourselves and we say, I'm reacting to that. One of my gauges is showing that there's something going on that's not healthy. And then what we can do, if we're on the path of peace, is we can ask ourselves the question, what is that just like in my childhood? So for me, a woman who appears to be arrogant and just not tender to the people around her, I will have to work through that because I'm reacting not to that woman at all. I am reacting to my internalized mother, whose game was always to compare herself to me to find me lacking. So I think that the other woman is in a pit of mud, and we're both in bikinis to see who's going to be the dominant one. And I know already that she's going to be the dominant one because she was 200 times more attractive than I was and more spectacular. So this is what I ask of you today as we go through a difficult time. Observe yourself at all times. Keep tapping your gauges. Keep asking yourself, is this triggering me? Is there some kind of past trapped emotional wounding that's starting to work its way out in my body? Why? Why is this happening? And the answer isn't, it's happening because that person is such a bitch. Just to give you a clue. He's a bastard is not the answer to that question. So let's try to stay away from that. All that is feeding our addiction to victimhood. We love it. We love it. It's just like heroin. Look at me. I'm so battered and beaten and broken, and they're just trying to get me. And that's the other thing we have to do right now to get ourselves through this challenging time with our own heart intact, is resist the call to be a victim. One of the affirmations I heard the other day just dropped down. Sometimes things drop down. I don't know. It's like you're walking through an orchard and all of a sudden this golden apple just falls into your hands. And you know it when it happens because you stand there going, oh, I didn't know this before. This is amazing. And so this affirmation came and it said, everything that happens to me every day, every hour, is making me more powerful. Say it together. Everything that happens to me every hour, every day, is making me more powerful. We're not victims. We're simply spiritual warriors in training. It's part of our training. Watch your gauges, stay inside, take responsibility for what you're thinking and feeling, and stay out of the victim dance. It's never going to be a happy result from that path. Look at them, they're beating me up. You're beating you up. You're doing it. Check your gauges. So that's what I have to say today. Thank you so much. I do suggest that you get a hold of me if you want life coaching, if you want a psychic reading for me to see what the issues are that are hanging over you, how your energy is around your body. I can read that. Get a hold of me and we can set it up remotely. Also, every single one of you that watches my videos, that likes and subscribes to my videos, subscribe, and puts a encouraging comment. I thank you. I appreciate you.